Hello and welcome to this edition of On the Beat. I'm Sergeant Ed Wessing, and here with us today is Commander Bill Peters, here to discuss with us the new state-of-the-art Forensic Services building. Commander Peters, with our city having budget shortfalls, as we've heard in the news, both locally and on a national and state level, can you tell us how was it that we were able to afford such a state-of-the-art facility, and actually how was it funded?
Sure, and these things take quite a bit of time for us to plan for some of these public safety buildings. The actual planning stage started back in the year 2000, so 8 years ago. And then we did a feasibility study, and then it went to the voters for a bond in 2004. The voters thankfully passed that bond and enabled us to have this new state-of-the-art facility. It's fantastic.
Can you tell us a little bit about the old lab facility and why we needed this new facility in the first place?
Sure. Well, Mesa is a large department, and it's a large city. And we obviously have quite a bit of crime within that city that we need to resolve. The old lab was in the basement of the city court building, and they were so confined in there. They actually had one room where 3 disciplines worked: our firearms, our controlled substance, and DNA, all working out of one room and trying to share some of the tables for examinations and that sort of thing. Some DNA processing was being done in old police hold cells where we used to hold prisoners, if you can imagine that. The Identification Bureau was an entirely separate building. So we had about 15,000 square feet split between 2 buildings and very confined locations.
Now, I've heard that some of the new construction has some state-of-the-art HVAC systems and ventilation systems. Were there any safety issues for our prior lab employees in the old facility?
Well, I'll give you an example. For our controlled substances, let's say we had a seizure, a bulk drug seizure, and we had a large amount of marijuana that had to be forensically tested. We'd bring that into the lab, but there was no ventilation for it. And so your firearms folks, your DNA folks, the other areas that were working within that small area had to inhale a lot of the smell of those bulk drugs as they came through. So absolutely, having this new ventilation system, having the space is going to make us a lot more efficient. It's a lot safer environment for our employees. On top of that, sharing tables as they were before, you had to be extra careful for issues such as cross-contamination. This lab is specifically designed to prevent some of that potential for cross-contamination.
Great. Now we see this on TV all the time, shows like CSI, etc., about laboratory work and forensics. How long has the City of Mesa Police Department actually had an operational crime laboratory?
Well, our crime lab actually began in 1980, so some time ago, and it started with just one criminalist, one scientist, and it was a controlled substance testing, and grew over the years. And we now have over 66 employees working in our lab and identification bureaus.
Okay. What type of new equipment or technology has come along with this project to make us more efficient and better at conducting those different analyses?
Sure. Aside from just the mere workflow and being constricted as they were and basically working out of closets, there are some significant areas of improvement that we're going to be able to do now. In DNA, we're going to be able to purchase and are purchasing new equipment through this bond that's going to allow us to process DNA quicker, faster, more efficient, and get that back to our detectives so we can arrest the criminals. In our toxicology area, we're having new equipment coming in that's going to allow us to test for drugs in people's blood as opposed to urine as they're currently being tested. That's going to make us, our conviction rates will improve. The quality of our DUI and manslaughter type cases involving drug and alcohol impaired drivers will improve. And we have a really state-of-the-art forensic firearms examination area in the basement of the building. In our old lab, if you were to extend your elbows, you would touch either side of the wall of the old firing range. There was barely any room in there to maneuver at all. This one has a large firing range. It has a large storage area for various firearms for examinations, and it just enables us to do things that before we never would have had the room to do.
Okay, there have been discussions in the media about outsourcing DNA serology work, for example. Is the idea behind this new facility also to make the police department self-sufficient laboratory where we don't have to ship items out to other labs to conduct that work at cost?
Well, there is an expense. One of the expenses before, for instance, wasn't so much in the serology and the DNA, but it was in the toxicology and shipping blood out to DPS, who now charges us to test for drugs in that blood. we'll be able to do that in-house now and no longer have that expense, which was becoming significant.
Now we go to Detective Steve Berry, who's at the Forensic Services Building with Lab Director Deb Rector.
Thanks, Sergeant Wessing. I'm over here in the new Mesa Police Department Forensic Services section. This is a fantastic new facility. Here with me today, I've got the administrator of the Forensic Service section for the Mesa Police Department, Deb Rector. Deb, how are you today?
I'm fine, Steve. How about you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Tell me about this fantastic new facility that we have. It's so much bigger than anything that I've seen before, certainly here at the Mesa Police Department.
Yes, the facility is definitely much larger than our former facility. In this building, we have approximately 46,000 square feet of laboratory and office space. Our former facilities was approximately 15,000. We have all the analysts in one building instead of being split between two different buildings, which is great for the interaction and the communication between individuals within disciplines, but also between disciplines, which was sometimes difficult to do in our former facility.
Tell me a little bit about the different types of work that actually goes on in the building.
Certainly. There are several different forensic science disciplines in which our employees will do analysis for in our laboratory. We basically have a toxicology unit which is responsible for doing blood alcohol analyses and urine drug screening analysis. That's primarily from DUI cases or driving under the influence. We have a forensic biology section that is responsible for doing serology and DNA testing. So they'll do analyses on sexual assault cases, homicide cases, basically anything where there are biological fluids that might be left behind or where we might need to collect DNA from an individual. We also have a latent print unit. These are the individuals that will process various crime scenes to find fingerprints that are left at the scene. They will collect evidence. They will also do various chemical and powder processing in order to visualize those prints that are left at the scene. And then they'll do the comparison, between what they collect at the scene and what is, knowns that we have collected as well. We also have a controlled substances unit. They're responsible for analyzing contraband substances, pills and powders, pharmaceutical compounds, marijuana that are confiscated from individuals. We have a crime scene unit who is responsible for responding to various crime scenes to evaluate the scene, collect evidence, bring that evidence back so that it can be submitted to the evidence unit and made available to our analysts. We have a photo lab, and we have a firearms unit. The firearms unit is responsible for analyzing, weapons, cartridge cases, bullets that are found at scenes, testing the functionality of weapons, determining muzzle to target distances, a whole array of various analytical analyses that are required.
Boy, that's probably more than most people ever realized was going on here in the crime lab here in Mesa. Again, having this facility and new building and having all of this stuff all under one roof is fantastic. And looking around at all the new and different technology that's now available to us, all of this has certainly got to be a great asset to the city and the surrounding communities.
Most definitely, and we as employees of the police department recognize that as well. We're very thankful to the the voters who approved the bond election in 2004 for this facility. The employees who are working in this facility definitely recognize the merits of it, the benefits, the additional safety features that we have in this facility that we didn't have in the other facility. So, and it's going to be a big benefit to the city as a whole, because we have various areas where, for example, multiple analyses were being done, but you'd have to wait until one person was done with a particular counter before somebody else could use it. Now each of the disciplines have their own area, so multiple analyses in many circumstances can be occurring at the same time.
Great. Hey, Deb, thanks for your time. This is, again, a fantastic building, and look forward to a lot of the great work that's going to come out of here.
Thank you, Steve.
Sergeant Wessing, I'll toss it back to you in the studio. As you can tell, this is a great facility. We really look forward to all the things that are going to happen here.
Thank you, Detective Berry. Commander Peters, recently we had a public open house. Can you explain to us a little bit about that open house and why we felt it was necessary to open this facility to the public?
Well, first and foremost, that facility belongs to the public. They're the ones that voted for it. They're the ones that enabled the city to reach the state-of-the-art level with this building. And so I felt very, very compelled that the public had a right to come in and see what it was that bond money purchased. So we had a team that was put together. They did a fantastic job. They set up a mock crime scene. And as the public came through with tours, they would view the crime scene and the evidence we would collect there. And then they went to the different parts within the laboratory where we would forensically examine that evidence, and then we showed them how we would then solve it using forensic science. So it was really a great opportunity. We had over 600 people come through, and the feedback that we had was just fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you, Commander Peters. And thank you, the citizens of Mesa, who voted for this bond election in 2004, making this project possible. I'm Sergeant Ed Wessing. We'll see you on the next On the Beat.